Hi, I'm Mark. I'm your expert in exchanges. I've been to three countries: Sweden, Japan, and South Korea. And I've been through the process too many times, faced different difficulties that you will face, and made decisions that you will have to make. So let's see how it went. I'll make sure you make the best decisions and avoid my mistakes. Let's get the ball rolling. First, dorms or apartments? I would 150% say go for dorms. Hear me out. First, social networking. You need to make fast, reliable, and alike friends quickly in a half a year span. And those people are in dorms. Activities, parties, information are all in dorms, and it's the most reliable source of company. I've made a lot of incredible friends, and it's that sense of in group each time you come back. You have this in group where you know there will be people you could ask for help, ask for support, or just for company. Living outside a dorm, an apartment, there's a large chance you wouldn't have social interactions. Local people are usually very busy with their jobs, and it's not necessarily, you see them. I've known some friends who've never seen their flatmates before, even though they live in the same building. You also have to consider about the commute distance. You want to choose the closest place to your university. Imagine if it takes 2 hours to go there and to come back. So each day 2 hours, and each day you only have 16 hours of active time. That means 10% of your exchange is gone. The 10% time and your energy in the exchange is in the commute. If it takes 2 hours every day to go there and come back. So you want to choose somewhere close, preferably like less than an hour. Um, but that's not necessarily the case. In Now I'm in South Korea, and from the dorm it takes 15 minutes by foot to the dorm, to the uni. That's very good. It makes my life much more efficient, much more stressless. I could come back for a power nap before classes or to study. I could use my day, use the extra 2 hours to hang out with my friends or just to take a break. Um, but in Japan, when I was in Japan, I had to take an hour of train, and that was very bad because the rush hour in Japan is terrible and it exhausts you very much. So before class, I'm already tired by squishing into the trains. But still, in the dorm experience in Japan was worth it, I have to say. So you have to consider whether the place you're considering is close or not. Try to get as close as possible because time is money, and especially in an exchange, your time is more expensive. So get the closest place. Next, about the price. Dorms are usually um, not expensive, relatively. They're usually the average price of the market, or they are a little bit below the average price. Hong Kong, which is a city with the most expensive rental prices in the world. I come from Hong Kong. I had a friend who wanted to go to an apartment because she thought the dorms were expensive. But when I tried to help her find an apartment in Hong Kong, first they were at least 2 or 3 times more expensive than the dorms, which was already considerable amount of money. And second, many owners don't want to rent to people who only stay there for 5 or 6 months. So many owners want to rent to someone who's staying there for a year. So before you consider going to apartment, make sure that you could find an alternative first. So you might still be scratching your heads whether you want to go to if you want to go to an apartment. I definitely would still go for a dorm even if it takes longer times, or even if the price is slightly more expensive, since the quality time in a dorm is much, much, much more higher. The time you get to socialize, the time you get to go for these events or activities, and it's just a sense of belonging that the dorm provides. It's a whole new experience. Next, people ask me whether they should join a language class. I'm like, yes, definitely go for a language class. The language of the country is a major part of the culture, and you want the most culture experience from your exchange. Moreover, language classes often you meet more than twice a week. For me in Korea, I have 2 hour class every single day. And when I was in Sweden, I had a Swedish class twice a week in 2 hours. The thing is, language classes not only fruitens your experience, but also you meet the same people in a routine. Unlike other large courses where there's 300 people, usually it's like a group of 15, 20 students. You see them, you meet them. It's a nice routine. And in that situation, it's easier to meet people, to make friends as well. And of course, learning a little bit of the language helps open up many doors. You could have a simple chat with the locals here, or it just makes it much easier to read signs on the bus stations or when you're buying something. In Korean, the Korean alphabet. I've learned the Korean alphabet. You realize that a lot of those alphabets actually just pronounce maybe it's a pizza house or something, a pizza place, and you just read it as a pizza, and you just know it's a pizza place. So it opens up a lot of doors, even though you might say half a year is not enough for a language. Definitely, it's not. But still, the experience is much more fruited and that you don't feel like just a foreigner. Just to also add on, some people don't like to take a lot of classes in their exchange, which is good. They could chill, they could have a good time. But the thing is, it's much more preferable to have more weekdays than weekends. What I mean by that is people create their weekends because they put all the classes in perhaps 3 days of week, so they have 4 days off, including Saturday and Sunday. So I would say they are having a longer weekend than their weekdays, which is really unhealthy. The thing is, you want to go to school every day because the school is the place where you socialize, and it's a routine. It's like you get up and you have something to do that day. I've seen many students actually they don't have anything to do because maybe there's only two classes. They only took two classes, so they're free 5 days a week or something. It makes them really unproductive. To be honest, people are very unproductive when they have too much freedom. And when you have too much freedom, you actually lead to more depression as well because you have nothing to do when your friends are in school, when they're doing the group projects and working on something, learning something new, while maybe you're just um, by yourself, trying to find some entertainment. The thing is, work hard, play hard. It's not fun if you go out clubbing every night. It's fun when it's like a treat. The Friday night you go out and have some fun after a long weekday. So it experiencing the place is great, but it's more better to get courses which local students attend as well, so that you could interact, you could learn how they do group projects. It's much more fun because, like for me, I'm doing a Korean statistics course with the local students. I don't speak Korean, and I meet a lot of difficulties because they only chat in Korean and I don't understand. But it's more interesting because you learn how different they are. It's quite interesting since students here, they're very, very hardworking. They use recording apps to record every single word the professor speaks during class. back home that would be illegal since you shouldn't record the lecture, but it's more diving into the culture, I would say. So make sure you get at least the average amount of courses instead of trying to slack off, because that won't do anything good. You just have too much time and you just get bored. Next, what to bring and what not to bring. I'm just going to talk about things that usually people miss out. First, make sure you bring, if you have a nice camera, bring a nice camera and the AC adapter, because usually the voltage is different. And also things like medicine, like painkillers, just some cold medicine for fever, simple medicine. And also, this depends, but if you're going to have an interview or maybe you're going to look for a job, it's better to bring a suit as well, even though it might be bulky. The thing is, you want to keep your suitcase light weighted. So don't bring a lot of books. I see people bring a lot of their favorite novels, and they're saying, or books, textbooks, coming here and saying, oh, I'm going to study hard. I'm going to read a lot of books during my exchange. You won't. You won't read any of those novels, nor are you going to study in the textbooks. You're going to study the things here, and you're going to spend a lot of time spending time with your friends, not reading novels. If you have time, you're going to dive into the culture. So maybe just bring one or two novels and books which are really necessary, um, not things that textbooks of your home courses. Also, I've made mistakes of buying a piano during my exchange. So, well, don't buy don't buy an instrument, or nor should you bring an instrument, um, unless you are going to practice it every day. I'm the person who touches the piano once a week. So I I thought, oh, it would be nice if I have a piano. So what I did was I foolishly bought a piano from Amazon, and it was nice. I got to play it in Japan, and I even found myself a teacher during those 5 months. But the thing was, it was a big hustle when I had to bring the whole piano back home. I actually thought of selling it, but I brought it back home. So it's a really big hustle. Of course, you might have a violin or you might have a clarinet or something, or lightweighted. If you look at your routine, if you normally play, your clarinet maybe 3 times a week or daily, then sure. But if you don't touch it even once a week, then don't bring your instruments because you won't have time. Time is a really limited resource during your exchange. So don't make my stupid mistake. I also made um I also brought this Japanese traditional bamboo shoes. It's called geta, and it's kind of like not a shoe. It's kind of like a sandal, but there's this. Um, it's quite funny looking, and it's culture. It's Japanese culture. I brought something like yukata, which is kind of a male version of a kimono, but I never used it in Sweden because in Sweden it was always very cold during the winter, and it was always snowing and it was a blizzard. So it's just too slippery for my geta to walk on, and it was too cold for my yukata. So I, it's nice to bring traditional clothes to the place, but you have to think about, is it feasible to use it? And from what my experience was yes, maybe it wasn't the best idea to bring traditional clothes. And there are some things which I think are quite universal for all exchanges, and that you have to make sure you do beforehand. First is visa. If you are a European and you're going somewhere in Europe, well, it's likely you're going to be okay. But assuming that it's somewhere you need visa, then you have to make sure you apply the visa earlier. I've made a lot of mistakes, which made me almost not be able to attend the exchange, even in Korea. Um, because you just can't enter the country, and there's just so many risks. The university is not going to take the risk for you. Next is also you should make sure about your transcript. You should apply your transcript earlier, since the other universities, the visa, the insurance might need it. So applying transcripts takes time. So make sure you do it earlier. And also, I've mentioned just now insurance. Insurance, you need it for almost all exchanges. Make sure you get an insurance, not only just to protect yourself, but also because universities usually require them. Make sure you get those free, straight done, and of course, don't slack off of documentation. I always do that, and I almost missed like Korea. So you don't want to do something stupid like me.